What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to Around the World with Steven. Welcome if you're new, and if you're returning, I appreciate you. Worldies and travelers, welcome back. I appreciate you all for your support. Thank you all for your birthday wishes, your kind words, your amazing support. I cannot thank you all enough. Thank you all so much. It's with great joy that I realize how much of a wonderful family and a wonderful support I have, and I appreciate you all a lot exponentially. Well, today we have a very sad case. I'm saying sad because of the title. And this was requested on Discord. The title of this is, let me find this real quick. It says tortured to death over a Facebook post. Now, this is so sad. And this is from Dark Asia with Megan. She's one amazing storyteller too. And we love her, don't we? We really, really do. She touches on very, very sad cases in Asia too. So let's jump into this. It says the Buet School, I think Buet School murder. Sheesh. And tortured to death over a Facebook post, just one Facebook post. That is really, really concerning. Let's see what it's about. Join our Discord. Link is down in the description. Please join our Discord. Let's grow that family. And also let us like, share, subscribe. Let's get this into the algorithm. I love you all so much. Let's get into this.
Freedom of speech. It's something most of us take for granted. The right to speak our minds, to express ourselves, to even criticize when we see something wrong. It's supposed to be a promise, a shield. But what happens when that very promise turns into the reason for someone's death?
Now, that is very, very, very true. I like how she opened the video. Freedom of speech is something we actually have come to expect if you're in a country where it's really recognized. Now, a lot of people or a lot of countries or a lot of people in other demographics do not have that. And I remember one dictator in Uganda said, I can guarantee you freedom of speech, but I can't guarantee you freedom after speech. And that is really scary. It means whatever you say, if you talk against me, you have that freedom of speech to say, but I can guarantee you freedom after speech. That is crazy.
And the right to speak becomes the very thing that silences a young life. This is the story that shook an entire nation. The tragic death of Abrar Fahad, a promising student from Buet, Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology. It happened on October 6, 2019. Abrar, just 21 years old, a second-year student in the Electrical and Electronic Engineering department, was found dead inside room 2011 of Sherabangla Hall, right there on the Buet campus. His body told a horrifying story, covered in his own blood, bruised, beaten, and broken.
Oh, man.
Later, the autopsy confirmed what people feared. He had been tortured. His legs, his knees, even the soles of his feet were shattered. The brutality was unthinkable.
Yo, he was beaten to the point that the soles of his feet were shattered. Bro, that is brutality. That is unthinkable brutality. And I'm thinking with the nature of his injuries, this is not a one-person thing. This is probably a group thing, if you know what I mean. This is insane. Wow. First of all, rest in peace to Abrar Fahad, I don't know what he did. I'm yet to find out, but that is brutal.
As the news spread, so did the outrage. Who could do such a thing? Who could have this much cruelty inside them? Soon, investigators revealed the names. They belonged to none other than the Bangladesh Chahatra League, the student wing of the ruling political party at the time. 25 people, 25 young men who were supposed to be fellow students, brothers, protectors, not killers. The country couldn't believe it.
What?
But who was Abrar Fahad beyond the headlines? Abrar was born on February 12, 1998, in the quiet village of Radhanagar, Kushtia. His father, Barkatullah, worked as a banker at the Brak Bank, while his mother, Rokia Khatun, stayed at home to raise Abrar and his siblings. From the very start, Abrar was someone special. He began his schooling at Kushtia Primary School, then went on to Kushtia Zilla School, where he passed his secondary school certificate exams with flying colors. He was the kind of student every parent dreams of: smart, dedicated, humble. After high school, he was accepted into some of the top institutions in the country, including Dhaka University and Dhaka Medical College, the latter being his mother's dream. She had always hoped to see him become a doctor. But Abrar had a different dream. He wanted to be an engineer, to build, to innovate, to make a difference in his own way. So he chose BUET. Not only did he keep up with his demanding academic life, but he also made sure to enjoy the little things. He was part of the BUET Energy Club, where he mixed his passion for engineering with his love of meeting new people. He was, as many would later describe him, a bright soul, someone who lit up any room he walked in.
Man, isn't it sad that good people, or like I don't know what he did steal, but looking at his backstory, he was young, he was bright, he had a future. Like, he was so smart. He got the chance to go to a medical school, got a chance to go to a university. He chose an engineering school because that was his passion. He lit up the room based on what is being described of him. And he was so young. He was 21 at the time of his brutal unalivement. So it's like, why? And the title is telling us it's over a Facebook post. And that is the scary part of it. Like, we can't share opinions now. Because the people that did that, the perpetrators, were of the ruling party. So I'm thinking he probably said something about them. And are you serious? He can't share his opinion. If I belong to a political party and somebody in my circle or space speaks against them, it is a moment for political discourse, and who knows, you may pull him to you, or you may share opinions that would open up a lot of discussions that would change lives and minds, not brutally do something to them. Now, I'm not making an excuse for the post, but this is just insane and very, very, very sad.
Abrar wasn't just another student buried in textbooks. He was someone who genuinely loved what he was studying. Electrical engineering wasn't just a course to him. It was a passion. He loved technology, and that love made his everyday life at BUET meaningful. Friends and teachers often said he was one of the top students, someone who didn't just excel, but also lifted others up. He was always ready to help his classmates when they struggled, offering guidance, solving problems, or just being there when they needed a hand. But Abrar wasn't just about grades and gadgets. He was also someone who paid close attention to the world around him. He cared about Bangladesh deeply. He was thoughtful, socially aware, and wasn't afraid to share his opinions on the country's social and political issues, often posting his reflections on his personal Facebook page. Since starting at BUET, Abrar had been living away from home, staying in room 1011 of the Shere Bangla Hall, a small but cozy dorm room where he studied, laughed, made memories with friends, and like any student, dreamed about the future. Even though he lived on campus, he never distanced himself from his family. He visited his parents regularly, and just 10 days before the tragedy, he had gone home on leave, planning to stay until October 20th. But with exams creeping up, he decided to return early to focus on his studies, never knowing that stepping back into the dorm would lead him straight into the hands of those who would take his life.
Oh my
So what
goodness.
triggered this nightmare? It all started with a Facebook post. During his exam preparation, Abrar came across news about some bilateral agreements signed between Bangladesh and India during Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's official visit. Like any engaged citizen, Abrar felt strongly about the deals. He disagreed, and so he did what many students would do. He wrote a post calmly laying out his thoughts. He talked about how the Mongla port, once pushed into operation prematurely to combat famine, was now being offered to India, despite earlier reluctance to assist Bangladesh when it asked for help with the Kolkata port. He also pointed out past disputes like the water-sharing conflict between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, and highlighted how Bangladesh was now set to export LPG gas to India, even as India restricted its own natural resources to protect them. It wasn't some viral post meant to stir up chaos. It was shared only among friends, part of the everyday political discussions common among young people. But for Abrar, this post would cost him everything. The post caught the attention of the Bangladesh Chahatra League, often called BCL, the militant student wing of the ruling party, the Awami League. To put it bluntly, they were feared on campus. Originally founded by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman back in 1948, the organization had since earned a reputation for power abuse, violence, and political intimidation. They had been banned before and even labeled a terrorist organization in Bangladesh, but their presence on campus remained.
Oh my goodness. On campus, this group, the Chatra League, Bangladesh Chatra League, which was created, and who knows, probably was created as like a political discussion group or something. I don't know. But I'm thinking, it gained so much infamy that it was called, or it was recognized as, a terrorist group. That is insane. That is insane. That never solves anything. Violence never solves anything. It does not. He made a post and sent it to friends. I actually, from the beginning of the video, thought he shared very harsh opinions, talking about the president, talking about this, talking about issues in a very, very like harsh tone or something like that. With how Megan described it, it is something he disagreed with. Now, if he disagreed with that, what is wrong with that? We all have disagreements. It did not have to end like that. And I believe if the Chatra League had anything wrong or anything to voice out about that, they could have sent delegation to talk to him. Oh, you know what? We see you don't agree with this, the treaty, whatever is going on. Let's discuss. This is what we feel. This is how, violence doesn't solve anything. Now you are still put in a bad light. What you did is going to put the group even in a more bad light. And it is sad that it is a group for the ruling party. It is so sad. Like, why do you resort to that? That was a 21-year-old guy with a future. Oh my goodness.
On October 4th, just 2 days before the murder, Mehdi Hassan Robin, the organizing secretary of Bueth's Chahatra League unit, gave an order in a group chat. We need to teach Abrar a lesson.
You are an idiot. You are, like, from the bottom of my heart. You are a piece of rat's herd. You gave an order because of a Facebook post. You don't have to be a leader of anything. You are undeserving of leadership. He made a Facebook post disagreeing with whatever was going on. What you could have done if it struck a nerve on you so bad was to talk to him. That is it. You know what? Let's have a political discussion. You know what that makes you look like? It makes you look like a worthy leader. It makes you gain respect. You gave an order to teach him a lesson over a Facebook post. You have to be taught a lesson over your stupidity, whoever you are.
They even waited for the perfect moment when Abrar would return from visiting his family and be focused on his exams. This chilling detail was only uncovered later during the investigation when Ifti Musharraf Shakal, one of the group's members, confessed. And then the night came, October 6. Abrar was alone in his room when they came for him. They dragged him to room 2011. He had his laptop and 2 mobile phones with him. Both were immediately confiscated. Mehdi Hassan Robin and others wanted to dig through his devices, looking for more evidence of his political views, as if that could somehow justify what they were about to do. As they scrolled through his private conversations and social media, Abrar stood there, helpless. Then the first slap landed. It was Robin himself, slapping him repeatedly, trying to intimidate him, trying to make him talk. But slapping wasn't enough for them. Arifin Rafat, another student, stepped out and returned carrying a cricket stump, an ordinary sports tool turned into a weapon. Without hesitation, Ifti Musharraf Shakal took it and began to beat Abrar mercilessly.
Wait, all over Facebook posts, all over his political ideology? Confess. Over what? That I don't like what is going on? That I don't like that? You're looking through my devices to find evidence of what? That I don't support you guys? What, everybody in Buet has to be a part of the Chatra League or something? This is so backwards. And to think that these pieces of turds who did that to this guy are part of a political group. And I guess some of those turds will up to run for leadership is scary with that mentality. It's really scary. Oh, we're looking for evidence. He didn't do anything. He didn't essay anybody. He didn't steal anything. He didn't rob anything. He shared political opinions which went against the ruling party's treaty or agreements. That is it. And that cost him his life. These pieces of shit.
His face, his hands, his legs, his body, all took the blows. They hit him again and again until the cricket stump snapped in half. But the beating didn't stop. Despite everything Abrar had already endured, the attackers weren't done. Even after all the slaps, the beatings, and the humiliation, Abrar refused to give them the so-called information they were looking for. And this, in their twisted minds, only made them angrier. Then Anik Sarkar, the Information and Research Secretary of the Buet Chatra League, entered the room. He was a 4th-year mechanical engineering student, someone who should have been mentoring juniors, not terrorizing them. Without hesitation, he carried in another cricket stump and began ruthlessly beating Abrar again, this time targeting his knees, legs, soles, and arms, blow after blow. Miftahul Islam Zion, the sports secretary, joined in, slapping him and striking his knees with a stump like it was some sick punishment. While this horror was unfolding, Mehdi Hassan Robin was on the phone, calmly discussing the situation with Rasel Mehdi Hassan, the general secretary of Buet's Chatra League. It was all being orchestrated step by step. By around 10:30 p.m., Abrar collapsed, fainting from the sheer exhaustion and pain. His body simply couldn't take anymore. Seeing him unresponsive, Ifti Musharraf Shakal tried to force him awake by slapping him repeatedly. Majira Rahman, another student, even joined in, whipping Abrar with a skipping rope as if this were some cruel game. For a brief, heart-wrenching moment, Abrar actually woke up, weak, trembling, and he was forced to stand again, only to be met with more blows. Ifti kept smashing his knees with a stump, while others slapped him again and again, almost mechanically. Then, around 11 p.m., Anik Sarkar returned once more, adding to the cruelty, striking Abrar's already broken body with a stump. Eventually, the group left him there, alone, battered and barely breathing. The only act of mercy was Ifti placing 2 small pillows under his head, but nothing could ease the suffering.
You placed 2 small pillows under his head. You all need a brain. You all are very, 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 very stupid. Every person that partook in this are very stupid. And I'm actually disappointed more in the 4th year students. You're 4th year engineering students. You have your whole lives ahead of your dumb asses. And you decide to whip a junior who shared his political opinions. That's all he did. Shared his political opinions. Didn't insult anybody. Wasn't as I call people stupid. I call people dumbasses. I call people. He did not do that. He did not do that. You beat him up for nothing. The post, according to Megan, was like what everybody would post. And that is your opinions. And all these, the scary part of the whole thing was this wasn't like foot soldiers of the group. When I say foot soldiers, like people who are ordinary members who don't have positions, all these are position carrying members of the Chatra League. Secretary of this, secretary of that, sports this of that. And it's scary. If your leaders are this dumb and stupid, imagine what the foot soldiers of the group will do. If this is the leadership, dumb asses who you've gone through school from 1st year through 4th year, and you act this dumb, it's very scary. Extremely scary for a political ideology. You're all stupid. All of you. Very stupid. And I hope to God you face the same fate. I don't care. You're dumb. Dumbasses.
Abrar, left to himself, vomited repeatedly, even choked on his own vomit. Still, nobody helped. After some time passed, Abrar might have thought, maybe it's over. Maybe they're done. But tragically, they weren't. The group returned, this time dragging him from room 2011 to room 2005. Their goal was clear, to extract the confession they believed he was hiding. Amit Saha, another leader, coldly suggested they continue beating him until he finally broke. And so, they resumed the torture. But something changed. Abrar's condition began to worsen fast. Amit realized this and nervously suggested moving him out of the dorm to avoid suspicion. Before making any move, they checked his breathing, his pulse, anything to determine if he'd survive. Mehdi and Anik convinced themselves that Abrar still looked stable and left him yet again. Not long after, Abrar vomited once more. His breathing was labored, his body weak. In a moment of panic, Mehdi suggested they hand him over to the police, trying to shift responsibility. Some students moved Abrar down to the ground floor, laying him on nothing but a bare mattress. Meanwhile, inside Buet, chaos was spreading quietly among the perpetrators when Tasir al-Jami was assigned to monitor Abrar's condition. And when he realized how serious it was, he quickly called Ifti for help. But instead of calling an ambulance right away, Ifti's shocking advice was to massage Abrar's body, as if that would somehow undo the hours of torture.
Yep. That is a leadership that these are the people that are guiding young men in a college, in a university. These. You hear how dumb they are? You see, you can go through school and learn knowledge. You can have knowledge in school. Wisdom is not taught. Being smart is not taught, right? So somebody's beaten to the point of almost passing out, dying, right? Passing away. And your stupid opinion as a leader is to massage him. Yes, because that undoes every torture you guys put him through. Wow, geniuses. These are the people in university. These are the people whose parents are throwing away money, putting them through school. Dumb asses. Now, when I say dumb, I don't mean they don't know anything they're learning or their field of study. No, that aside, they're really dumb. Brain dead idiots. Brain dead idiots. Massage him, put a pillow behind his back, because that magically takes the pain away. Wow, geniuses. These are the people in school. These are the people going to take leadership. It is so screwed. So screwed.
Eventually, others joined in, and between massaging and panicking, someone finally called for an ambulance. But even then, delays, miscommunication, and fears of consequences held them back. Tamim, one of the students, tried to buy time by fetching a doctor from Bouet's medical center. But it was too late. Abrar's body was shutting down. His breath faded, his pulse weakened, and finally, it stopped. He froze. By the time the police arrived around 3 a.m. on October 7th, Abrar's lifeless body was lying on the ground floor of the Sherry Bangla Hall. He wasn't moving. He wasn't breathing. The medical officer on duty, Dr. Mohammed Mashouk Alahi, confirmed the inevitable. Abrar Fahad was dead. But as investigators looked closely, they immediately knew this wasn't just some tragic accident. The wounds on his body told a story no one could deny. His body was marked head to toe. This was torture. Investigators wasted no time. They secured the CCTV footage from the dormitory. And what they found sent chills down their spines. On one of the recordings, you could see several students dragging Abrar by his hands and feet along the corridor like he was nothing more than a piece of furniture.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. Leadership. This is what I'm talking about. You can't teach wisdom. You just can't. You can't teach brain dead, rotten pieces of rats' turds wisdom, right? You did this in the presence of security cameras, right? I'm not saying do stuff like this. I'm against violence for anything. Now, you did this in front of security cameras. Wow. It shows you what smart asses are the leaders of that BCL, the Chatra League. These are your leaders. Smart asses. Dumb pieces of shit. All of them. All of them. CCTV cameras everywhere. Wow. Congratulations. You all played yourself. Pieces of shit.
Furniture. But perhaps the most disturbing moment of all, at 3:26 a.m., there on the footage stood Professor Mizanur Rahman, the director of Bouet's Student Welfare Council. He was calmly speaking to the very suspects involved, standing next to Abrar's body, before walking away as if nothing had happened.
What?
The next day, investigators questioned Professor Mizanur. His response? He claimed he didn't know anything, that he had only found out about the incident the following morning. Yet, there he was, caught on camera. Then came the painful task no parent should ever face. The investigators tried to contact Abrar's family, but with his phones and laptop missing, they had no way to reach them. They searched for anyone who could help, and finally found a student named Diganta, who used to tutor Abrar's younger brother. Through Diganta, they reached Abrar's younger brother, Abrar Fahad. The call connected. His voice picked up on the other end, and just like that, the devastating truth reached the Fayad family. Abrar was gone. As the news of Abrar's death quietly slipped out of the dormitory and into the wider Buet campus, a wave of whispers started to ripple through the halls of Sherabangla Hall. Rumors spread like wildfire, and it didn't take long before fingers were pointing at the Shahatra League. Students were talking, but not loudly. Fear hung heavy in the air. Many knew what had happened, or at least had pieces of the story. But when asked, most stayed silent, too afraid of what the Shahatra League might do if they spoke up. Still, a few brave students from the 17th batch couldn't stay quiet. They carefully crafted a message and posted it on every Buet-related Facebook page and group they could find, even reaching the Buet Alumni Association. The news began to spread beyond the campus walls, beyond Dhaka, beyond Bangladesh. And then another detail surfaced that left people puzzled. Why, after everything, would the Shahatra League themselves call the police? They knew Abrar was dying, or already dead. Why invite the authorities and potentially expose themselves? But as the investigation unfolded, the chilling answer came to light. The plan, from the start, wasn't to hand over a victim. It was to frame him. Investigators discovered that when Abrar was still clinging to life, the League had planned to label him a Shibir activist, a derogatory term used for members of the student wing of Jamaat-e-Islami, a banned political group. One of the League's leaders had even called the police, saying, "We caught an activist. Come and take him away." A patrol.
Well, oh my goodness. Wow, man. I think there has to be something taught to these students called how to have a brain and how to use it. You beat that guy. You subject him to torture. You subject him to a lot of fierce violence. You call the police, label him an activist. Wait, so you caught an activist and decided to exact judgment on him, beat him to the point of death, and then call the police? And you think that was going to exonerate you? If they're a banned Islamic group, fine. But to beat him and call police? You are still going to face repercussions. Why touch him? Why beat him? If you caught an activist, if he really was an activist, you hold him down. There was more of you and one of him. Hold him down, call the police to come and arrest him. I mean, this is insane. Yeah, those are leaders of the Shahatra League. Those are your leaders. Congratulations. You have a successful leadership. Leaders, like, wow, bro. You can't make this up. These are not illiterates. These are people in university. Coming up with that.
Patrol was dispatched to Buet immediately. But when the officers arrived at the Sherabangla Hall, they were blocked. The League wouldn't let them in. This revelation sparked another storm of questions. Was this murder purely about politics? What was so dangerous about Abrar's Facebook post that it led to this? Determined to find answers, Abrar's friends and classmates took matters into their own hands. They started investigating. They dug through conversations, pieced together timelines, and reviewed everything they could find. Eventually, they realized what had triggered it all: Abrar's final Facebook post. His critique of the government's recent agreements with India hit too close to home for the League. At the end of the post, he even added a quiet but sharp poem. "For others' sake, I say, give all your life and mind. Is there such happiness anywhere that you forget yourself?" The message was clear, and to those who couldn't tolerate dissent, it was enough to end his life. Once the motive was clear, the country couldn't stay silent. Students, teachers, activists, and even ordinary citizens flooded the streets. Protests broke out everywhere. In Dhaka, hundreds gathered at the base of the anti-terrorism Raju Memorial Sculpture. At Jahangir University, students and teachers formed human chains, demanding capital punishment for Abrar's killers. In Kushtia, Abrar's hometown, the university students blocked the main highway, joined by their professors calling for justice. And it wasn't just students, celebrities, artists, and public figures like Prince Mahmood, Mustafa Sarwar Faruqi, Masoom Reza, Chayanika Chowdhury, and Konal took to social media, expressing grief, anger, and solidarity. International voices soon followed. Embassies condemned the killing. Amnesty International called it a heinous crime requiring urgent investigation. Many pointed out that this wasn't just murder, it was an attack on freedom of speech itself. Under pressure, Bouet was forced to act. The university administration announced sweeping changes. They banned all political party activities on campus, on paper at least, though many pointed out that political activity had already been technically banned long before this tragedy.
Took this tragedy to do that? Now, in the beginning or early stages of this video, Megan had pointed us to the fact that the Chatra League were labeled what? They were labeled violent, they were labeled a terrorist group, and they still had presence in the school. You should have banned them long ago. Long ago. This shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have gone to this. If they were that violent, you should have acted long ago. And I believe with the alumni and people that created that league, are they going to ban them? I doubt that. I highly doubt that. It's probably something to calm the international eyes down, the media. We're banning them. So don't worry. All political parties, all political activist groups are getting banned. So don't worry. Yeah, I think that is bullshit. I smell the bullshit out of that. They're not going to ban them. They're just not. It's still going to happen. Where else did we see this case? Think. Oh, yeah. The case where women and people were beaten. Did we hear about the Chatra League in that case? Heck yeah, they were in there. We did a case about Megan, where in Bangladesh, journalism women were beaten. I believe it was. Where the protest about the quota system sparked outrage. Chatra League were right there in there. Yeah. So they're a problem.
They expelled 19 students, permanently banned those directly involved, promised to cover Abrar's legal expenses and compensate his family, and vowed to create safer conditions for students, including more surveillance, whistleblower platforms, and campus reforms. But the public wasn't satisfied. They wanted justice, not just promises.
Good.
Finally, on December 8th, 2021, a tribunal delivered the verdict. 20 men were sentenced to death. 5 others were given life imprisonment. It wasn't just a trial, it was a message. The court called it premeditated murder. The evidence, forensic reports, eyewitness testimonies, CCTV footage, and above all, the undeniable truth told by Abrar's battered body. Among those sentenced to death were top members of the Bouet Chatra League.
Good job. Good job. Thank you, Bangladesh. In fact, we all have to learn from this. Yes, you who take an innocent life because of a Facebook post and a poem, this has to be your fate. I don't care. I'm not sorry. I'm so happy. I'm actually very happy. It's going to deter other people who think like this, to get them out of here. These people don't have to spread their seed, their disgusting viruses of seed in Bangladesh. We don't need people thinking like this. Just get rid of them. And thank God the government did the right thing. I would say it's the right thing. Come for me. I don't care.
Including Mehdi Hassan Robin, Anik Sarkar, Iftikhar Sharaf Sokal, and others.
Good.
Those who received life imprisonment were determined to have been involved, but not directly in the fatal acts. Yet, even after the verdict, not all were behind bars.
What?
Some, like Muntasir Al-Zemi, managed to escape and remain fugitives. As of late 2024, the case is still under review by the High Court. Appeals are pending. The fight isn't over. And yet, unbelievably, Chatra League members later tried to return to Bouet's campus as if nothing had happened. They attempted to revive student politics, sneaking onto campus at night. The reaction? Outrage. Students protested again. Some even called it shameless. The university was forced to issue another ban on all political activities. This case, Abrar's case, shook Bangladesh, not just because of the cruelty, but because it forced a nation to face tough questions about freedom of speech, power, and justice on campuses. Today, his story is still part of every conversation about student rights, political power, and the future of Bangladesh's universities. And now, I want to know, what do you think? Was justice truly served? Did this change anything? Or is this a fight that still has a long way to go? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And that is all for today. Thanks for watching.
Megan, this was excellent report. This was excellent reporting. I am very, very sad. However, it's looking like some escaped. Catch them. They have to face justice. And in fact, those who escaped, who had life sentences, add them to the people you're going to unalive. Add them to them so they don't escape no more. Unalived people don't escape. Yes, you put that guy in that mad torture. You deserve to get out of here. And I'm so happy. Please make it quick, make it snappy. You can put it on pay-per-view. If I have access, I'm gonna pay and laugh at them as they're being unalived, because yes, they deserve it. And I told you moments ago that the political group will still be active, and they snuck back into how did they sneak back into the university though? How did they sneak back into it? That Chatra League thing is a nuisance. It's a nuisance. It is a nuisance. Your leaders are dumbasses who are going to face capital punishment anyway, well-deserved capital punishment, and you're sneaking back in to start a student group. I entreat the university's leaders to kick them the heck out, and there be punishment for whoever is trying to start that bullshit back in the campuses. That is my opinion. I am glad justice was served, but I guess the nail in the coffin, the icing on the cake, will be when they actually carry out the punishments, which are well deserved. All appeals should be cancelled. All appeals should be cancelled. If not, what happened to Abrar should be played at every appeal hearing. Yeah. All those appeals should be canceled. That is my opinion. Thank you for watching. I love you so much. I am coming with more reactions. Let me know what you want. Join our Discord. Let me know what you want to see, and I'll react to it. Love you all so much. Peace.